What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more AmITheButtHole. And if you love a Reddit story, why not consider clicking that subscribe, maybe the notification bell too. Now, before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you to a new cheeky member, RJ Warden. Thank you for joining us, and also for Leon for rejoining 10 months today. You absolute legend. And a bit of an announcement, as we've entered Spoopy month, we're running a little competition for this month. It's going to be a drawing based Halloween themed competition, merch prizes from places 1 to 5, and there's also Discord Nitro, Discord Classic, Chibi and emote commissions thrown in as well. It doesn't have to be super flash or anything like that. All levels are welcome, so come get involved. Full rules are on our Discord, where you submit the entries as well. Link to the Discord is down in the description below. Come get involved. Would love to see your entries. And let's crack straight on with today's stories. Much love, guys. And our first story does follow with an update from Candy Blue, who says, "Am I the arsehole for telling my nurse if I wanted her opinion, I would have asked for it? On mobile, grammar and spelling is bad. I, 26 female, am starting my uphill battle of trying to get my tubes tied. My PCP is on board with it, but let me know I'd have to go through GYN since the procedure is done by them. She put in my referral, and today one of the nurses called to set up my appointment. The nurse asked me if I was trying to set up an appointment to change out my IUD and asked if I was having problems. I told her I was actually trying to set up an appointment to talk about getting my tubes tied. I could hear her overt disapproval over the phone. She started telling me that they don't like doing those procedures on people my age. I might meet a man and want to give him a baby. I don't want to end up old and with no one to take care of me, etc. She told me she believes I'd be a wonderful mother. Not true at all, and that I'm just scared of actually being pregnant and not being a mother. I got so annoyed I blurted out, I only need your help for setting up an appointment. If I wanted your opinion on my body and future, I'd ask for it. My male friend was in the room and told me I had no reason to be so rude to the nurse and that she was just trying to help me think of this objectively. I honestly don't think I was an arsehole, but I'm sure the nurse does, and my friend thinks I was an arsehole. So, am I the arsehole?" And there's like a mini sort of edit update with some information in there, which I'll cover after the comments because I think that'd be the best time to do it. And we've covered similar stories like this in the past, and this is an absolute not the arsehole to me, and it was in those past stories as well. You know, this person overstepped and gave their personal opinions that you might want to give your man a baby. I mean, what the hell? And that you'll end up old with no one to take care of you. Absolutely not the arsehole. It's clearly overstepping big time here. I think it's one of those situations where you would definitely consider, or I would definitely consider, reporting that person, because not only you they'd be doing this to, but multiple people. And what if they talk someone out of doing it and that in the future they regret their decision? That's a life-changing thing, isn't it? But Eleni and the pup says, "Not the arsehole. They need to put personal opinions aside and just do their job. Be ready for a battle though. It took me going through 8 different doctors before I finally found one to sterilize me." OP replies to that saying, "I purposely waited until I was 25 plus because most doctors won't even think about it until then." Ardeek says, "Not the arsehole, but your friend is. You should mention this to the GYN. You're secure enough in yourself to not listen to her, but someone younger or easier bullied might end up making choices they don't actually want in cases like this. You don't need help thinking about it objectively either, and she's not objective. She's clearly bringing her own baggage to the table here." Enthused High Five says, "Not the arsehole, and it sounds like your friend doesn't seem to think anything wrong with the arsehole out of line nurse giving you unsolicited, unethical medical advice and telling you what she thinks you should do according to her values, not yours." And then OP replies to that one saying his defense is that he would be really upset to find out a woman he really likes has her tubes tied, even though he doesn't want kids. What if we both change our minds? Another one he said that really shocked me was, "You'll never have a chance to have an accident. That could change your whole view on being a parent and you might want to keep the pregnancy." I told him that's exactly the fucking point. I don't want an accident. What an idiot. And Stress Durr says, "Not the arsehole. It's not the nurse's business why you're making an appointment in the first place, and even if it was, it's not a place to pressure you to have kids." And one more from Coffee Not Bombs, who says, "As a former nursing student, not the arsehole at all. It's these jamokes that are protesting at vaccine mandates. I know they're not medically equivalent in terms of reversibility, but as a cis man I could get snipped with one phone call and not have anyone question anything. Systemic patriarchy is fucked up. And the little edit says, ETA, I woke up and rest in peace my inbox, lol. Thank you all for the suggestions and support. I have a lot of reading and research to do. I didn't know I had so many options in the way of sterilization. I do plan on reporting this nurse. Someone not as strong-willed as me might get dissuaded or bullied out of it. I don't like that shit. Another thing to mention, the nurses set appointments and schedule everything else. The GYN, technically is a women's health clinic office, is specifically for patients with PTSD, cancer, high risk, severe womanly illnesses, and GYN trauma. The idea is only to speak to medical professionals so you have consistent access to people who, supposedly, know what they are talking about. The nurses go on monthly rotation, so some are on the floor and others will be at reception. My ex-friend blew up our friendship in a nuclear way. Basically, he was a closet neckbeard. My appointment is set up for later this month. If anything of interest happens, I'll update since some people asked. And then we're going to move on to the update to see what that says. On mobile, spelling, grammar is bad. So, to no one's surprise, the answer was no. My GYN, Dr. O, spoke with me for just under an hour and her main talking points were: 1. She doesn't like to do the procedure younger than 30. Towards the end of us talking, she told me she was willing to do it when I turned 28. 2. She had a patient last month asking for a sterilization to be reversed. The woman was a divorcee at the time of sterilization and said she never wanted kids. 3 years later, she meets the love of her life and wants a kid by him. Tragic story, but what does that have to do with me? 3. Of course, the good old what if you meet a man and want to have kids with him, or what if you and your partner decide to have kids? 3. Her last reason was that it's a serious procedure and she doesn't like to hand them out like candy. I told her that I've been asking about this since I was 20 and was told, albeit in a completely different state, that 25 was the golden age for consideration. Dr. O was pretty shocked to hear that I've wanted this for so long, and that's why she agreed to do it at 28 instead of 30. She kept basically saying I might want kids, so I realized a very important thing. My terminology for this endeavor needs to change. I told Dr. O to forget the kids part of this, completely take children out of the picture. I do not want to get or be able to get pregnant. I spent a solid 5 to 8 minutes talking about why I don't want that and how the concept gives me anxiety. I even started to panic in the office talking about realistically getting pregnant. It still fell on deaf ears. I opted to get a second opinion with a male GYN. Enter Dr. B. Dr. B and I had a very long and interesting appointment. He was extremely helpful and encouraged me to schedule another appointment with Dr. O. He gave me talking points and tons of helpful advice on getting this to happen. He's optimistic that if I'm annoying enough and follow his advice and talking points, Dr. O will do the procedure. If I don't have surgery in the works by January, he told me he will personally help me find a provider outside the VA. Dr. B said he was more than willing to do the procedure for me, but because he no longer has access to the surgery area, he can't help. He's on his way out so he can retire. So he's not doing surgeries anymore and doesn't do anything that can't be done in a clinic. This is everything I have to report. I'm going to continue to push to get this done. Thank you for those that came back to check up on how this went. But I'm glad there is the slightest bit of progress on this, and I know OP's had to go through a hell of a lot already just to get to this point, but there seems to be a little positivity towards the end there that they got another doctor helping out. They sound like they're willing to keep pushing that with OP to get the choice that they want. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account titled, Am I the arsehole for causing my husband to miss his brother's wedding by having him fix the toilet? To start, me and my husband's brother, aka my brother-in-law, have always been on bad terms. We don't see each other much, we're not really mean to each other, but more like we don't like each other. My brother-in-law was getting married this past week. He only invited my husband, which is fine really because I wasn't planning on attending his wedding. Really no big deal. The day of the wedding, my husband couldn't take the day off, but came home early to get ready to go to the wedding, which was 3 hours away. The toilet stopped working and needed to be fixed. I'm 7 months pregnant and I frequent the bathroom many times a day. I asked my husband for 5 minutes to look at the toilet and he suggested he'd fix it when he gets back, but the smell of unflushed pee gets me nauseous, so I tried to convince him to at least try and it might work. He took a look and said it needed fixing, which would take 10 to 15 minutes. I asked him to do it even though he refused, but he did it anyway. He took long and didn't pay attention to time. He freaked out saying he should be driving at the time, but I insisted he finish fixing the last part, and he barely did. He was mad and got dressed and quickly left. Turns out that he arrived late and missed the ceremony and made it to the last part of the wedding. He was mad at me for causing him to miss a huge part of his brother's wedding and said his brother was upset and disappointed he wasn't there to support him. He argued saying I made him late only because I couldn't go to the wedding, but I said it's not true because even if he had sent an invitation, I would have declined to come. He then said that it must have been because I hate his brother and what I did was a petty attempt to make him miss his wedding, especially since I could have waited till he got back to fix the toilet. He's still mad at me for missing the wedding till this day. Now this one left me with many questions, mainly about why you two don't like each other, why you're not getting on. There must have been something that sparked this originally for you two to dislike each other so much that he's not inviting you to the wedding and that you wouldn't have went even if you was invited. In a hypothetical situation, as we always do, if I was getting married and I invited my brother but not his wife, I don't know what would be said. That's a big statement to me. But we haven't got that information, so I'll just cover the actual question itself. And I think you would be the arsehole on the question itself because you knew it was the special day, and I think there's just many other options you could have went down. I think could have phoned a plumber, a handyman, someone else to fix the toilet, pee in the shower for Christ's sake. There's just lots of ways, and I know OP's pregnant. I'm not playing down the pregnancy, but I think this was just a question of priorities, and I think the wrong priority was chosen. Whether it was purposely so he does miss the wedding or not, I really don't know. But I'm going to go with a you're the arsehole because I'm feeling a bit spicy. Habitual offender says you're the arsehole. He missed a special occasion to fix the toilet. Would you be upset if he missed the birth of your child to fix his brother's toilet? Bushido Boa says you're the arsehole. You could have called someone to fix it. You could have just dealt with it. You knew he was on a timer, but rather than value his time, you chose to value your wants instead. Not sure how long ago this was, but don't be surprised if your husband resents you for this. You made him disappoint his brother and clearly is upset about it. RB1327 says you're the arsehole. I don't think you were malicious, but there was no need to have him deal with this when he was on a schedule to get driving. What if the toilet had broken 5 minutes after he left? You'd deal with it then. Call a plumber, plunge it yourself, use a bucket of water to flush it, pee in the shower even. If he was able to fix the problem without going to the store for parts, then it was simple enough for you to handle. M Pink says, you're the arsehole. I understand you're pregnant and have to go to the bathroom frequently, but it's your husband's brother. Call a handyman. There are hundreds of them in every place. You are a big arsehole for making him miss his brother's wedding. I really do wonder if you made him fix it because you don't like his brother. And one more from Unit Healthy who says you're the arsehole. Call a plumber, pee in a bucket, fix it yourself using YouTube. Call a neighbor or your friend to fix it. Go outside where you can't smell it. Take a shower and pee in it while it runs. Good lord. Hope you're proud of yourself for ruining a man and woman's wedding by wedblocking the groom's brother. Now, what would you do if you found yourself in this situation? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Beep Boop Beep 411, titled Am I the Arsehole for forcing my husband to go to work an hour early? My husband has a very hard time working in the mornings. He sets a ridiculous amount of alarms and is the root of one of our common petty arguments. He will set 5-minute intervals for 1 whole hour. If he is trying to get up at 7:30 am, his alarm will start at 6:30 am and go off every 5 minutes. And he takes a while to snooze. It's miserable for me. I go to work at 5 am on some days, and other days I'm able to shift my schedule to 7:30 am. So on those days, I look forward to being able to sleep in just a little longer. Obviously, I can't do that if an obnoxious alarm is going off every 5 minutes. It's so loud that on days I want to sleep in because I don't have to work, his alarm will wake our baby in the other room, which means I have to get up at 7 am on my rare days off. I've begged him to try harder. I've offered compromise. I've asked him to shift his alarm to maybe 30 minutes so I can get that extra 30-minute shut-eye. He's convinced he won't wake up if he doesn't have that much alarms. Some days he'll completely miss to wake up and be very late for work, but that's because he plays games on his phones at night and will fall asleep and forget to charge his phone. Today, I decided I wasn't going to take it any longer. It was my day off to sleep until 7:30 AM, but the alarm started at 6:30, again at 6:35, another at 6:40. At 6:45, I turned on the lights and yelled at him to get up and leave. He was startled, asking why. It's still early. I said, if you're going to set alarms that early, you're going to get up and leave early. I told him it's ridiculous that everyone around him needs to suffer because he can't get himself on a better sleep schedule. He started saying, well, I guess I'll just not set alarms and keep getting late and then I'll get fired. He stormed off and went to work, and now is really upset that he's at work an hour earlier than he should be here. Look, I'm going to be straight up honest. I love a snooze. I love hitting snooze several times and just going back to sleep for a little extra 5 to 10 minutes, but I would never inflict that on someone else. And I understand it's not a healthy way to sleep either, waking up and then going, oh, I'll go back to sleep again, because you never get like a full night's sleep by doing so. But there's just something about it that's just really good. But as I said, I would never inflict that on someone else. And OP in this situation offered multiple compromises. They've tried to work with OP. And if someone ruined my sleep that much and they continue to insist on doing so, if you got the extra room, I'd sleep in a different room. Get a bed, sleep in another room. I know at least 2 couples now that sleep in different rooms. You know, they still got a loving relationship and stuff like that, but because they sleep in different ways, they insist on sleeping in different rooms. And I think that's a great thing to do. I think it's a great solution for some people. But Luckstrick says, not the arsehole, snoozing through alarms for an hour doesn't help you wake up. It basically trains you to turn off the alarm while you're sleeping. Set one alarm and put your phone across the room and you will wake up. That is extremely selfish and obnoxious of him. CatsRob89 says, not the arsehole, he's being an arsehole. Maybe do it for your 5 AM starts and see if he finds that annoying. RDDT says, not the arsehole, he's acting like a petulant 11-year-old. One snooze, he should get one snooze. Beyond that, he is a nuisance to the rest of the house. Desperate measures, you won't have to do this for long. After one snooze, get up and turn the lights to the room on. Every time. He will figure it out. Terms of service says, not the arsehole, you have offered multiple solutions and he has made no effort to be accommodating. It was also his choice to storm off to work. He could have stayed at home, just being awake for an hour instead of throwing a tantrum and storming out. Also, on your days off, when his alarm wakes up the baby, why doesn't he go take care of the baby? Why is that your responsibility? His needs do not come before the needs of everyone else in the house. And one more from Cranberry, who says, not the arsehole, but why on earth did he have to leave for work an hour early, just because he was up an hour early? Could he have not eaten a leisurely breakfast, or taken a long shower to cool off, or looked at his phone, or literally anything that neither disturbed you nor resulted in him being at work when it clearly made him furious to be there? You'll need a long-term solution that doesn't result in daily feuds. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that as well, like why did he have to go into work? And the only reason I could think is that he went in there, so he said, now look what you've done. Like sort of, look what you've done to me. You forced me to go in work. How dare you, kind of thing, which is just childish behavior, isn't it? But what do you guys think of this story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next one. And our next story comes from a throwaway account titled, Am I the Arsehole for confronting my wife for buying my birthday gift with my money? My wife and I have been married for 2 years. I recently noticed after reviewing bank statements that she's been buying my birthday gifts with my money for the past 2 years. Didn't notice the first year since it was not super expensive. We have a shared account to pay bills, but then we also have our individual credit and debit cards for personal expenses. She has an authorized user on my credit card, but she'll only use it if I ask her to buy something for me, such as work clothes. She bought me a Rolex watch this year for my birthday, and I felt bad since I didn't get her anything nearly as expensive for a birthday gift, and I told her she shouldn't have. I also wondered how she could afford it unless she's been saving. She said she wanted to do something nice for me, and she knew I liked it. One day I was attempting to buy a coffee before heading to work, and my card was declined. I called the bank and they told me that they blocked the purchase. After reviewing the online statement, it does show the watch on my account, and that's not my usual spending habits. I talked to my wife about it and she said, I thought I used the shared account. I must have pulled out the wrong card by accident, I'm sorry. I tell her to return it because it's an unnecessary expense, and she told me just keep it, you can afford it. You know you wanted one anyway. Please appreciate me wanting to do something nice for you. That last line, she wanted to do something nice to you by spending your money on an expensive watch. I'm not going to pretend to know how much a Rolex is. I know they can go, I don't know, 5k. I think I've seen one 5k in a shop window once, and probably upwards from there to God knows how much. Astronomical amounts. And then there is a little comment that OP put further down in the comments as I was going through them, and said that she tried making it up to him by using sort of sex as a way of making it up to him, but so there is that. So the comments say, Raspberry says, not the arsehole. Purchases that cost several thousands of dollars should be 1. Made with one's own money, 2. Saved for, 3. Discussed prior to using a joint account. I'd be livid if I bought myself a Rolex I haven't budgeted for. Serious red flag, OP. Groundbreaking Wing says, not the arsehole. I'm a bankruptcy attorney, and this is a major red flag. The ability to throw 5k plus on a random card without being sure is going on the correct card is a sign that there are many other problems going on here. As far as the current incident goes, whether she drained your personal account without telling you or maxed out your credit card without telling you, this is a major issue that bears discussion. If she's maxing out the joint bills account without telling you, that's even worse. Please open a Credit Karma account for yourself to see how much debt she's put in your name, if any. You should also ask her to show you her Credit Karma account if you have any interest or expectation of bailing her out of her debt or wanting to know how much she owes. Terry says, not the arsehole. Return the watch and get your money back if that's possible. Call the credit card company and cancel her as an authorized user on your card. Janice's Blue says, not the arsehole. This is stealing and not okay. Her trying to minimize the purchase and dissuade you from cancelling it makes me think this might have been intentional. Fickle Willow says, not the arsehole. A Rolex is a pretty expensive gift. She didn't do anything nice for you. She bought you an expensive gift you now have to pay for. And one more from my so-called internet who says, not the arsehole. If the bank stopped your card, I assume that meant the cost of the Rolex either put you beyond your overdraft limit or the bank suspected fraud. All debates about his, her, their money aside, you don't put someone in their overdraft regardless of how much they apparently want something. If the card was stopped for fraud, that suggests OP is usually careful with money, meaning that kind of expenditure should have been discussed. Not sure if I'd go as far as to say your wife is the arsehole, unless her heart wasn't in the right place, but you two certainly need a conversation about money. Now, what would you do if you was in that situation? If you was in an OP situation and your partner spent that amount of money on a gift for you with your money, how would you feel about that? And they said, keep it, you've wanted it all this time, that's something you really wanted. How would you feel about that? I think I'd be pretty miffed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next one. And our next story comes from Noah Redemption Arc, and it's titled, Am I the Arsehole for choosing a football game over a wedding? And now it's talking about American football, so I'm probably going to be out of my depth here, so I'm sorry if I pronounce or get anything wrong. Forgive me. So, my wife's friend has a wedding coming up this Sunday that is a few hours away from where we live. The bride is a close friend of my wife's from college, but I've only met her a handful of times, and to be honest, she kind of sucks. When we RSVP'd a year ago, I wasn't exactly thrilled to be traveling 3 hours and spending hundreds of dollars for someone I don't even really like. The other thing is that when I RSVP'd a year ago, the NFL schedule wasn't out. I know that sounds silly, but for anyone who knows football, this is a special week in sports history because Tom Brady is returning to play the New England Patriots. For the Brits / non-sports people, Tom Brady was the quarterback for the New England Patriots for 20 seasons and won 6 championships with them. He won a championship last year in his first season with Tampa Bay and has yet to return to New England until this Sunday. I won't get further into the drama. GOAT versus rookie QB, the Brady / Belichick debate. But suffice to say, this game is monumental and is going to be quite literally historical. A once-in-a-lifetime game for any football fan, and especially for a die-hard Patriots fan like myself. I can't miss it. To be honest, I totally forgot about the wedding day until a few weeks ago, and when I realised the date, I was devastated. But I didn't know how to approach the wife. I knew it would look bad, so last week I reached out to her gay best friend, Tito, and asked if he had any plans for this Sunday. He didn't and was actually thrilled at the idea of accompanying my wife as a +1 because he loves dancing. So I floated this to her, and she flipped her shit. She told me it was rude and disrespectful and also downplayed the importance of the game, just like I knew she would. I told her Tito was happy to attend, but she just gawked at me and started crying. I know, I look like the arsehole here, but am I? I'm not friends with the bride, my wife is, and watching Brady grow up has affected my life more than the bride ever has or ever will. I also get that bailing on a wedding cost the bride and groom money, so to prevent that I went out my way to find a replacement. I told my wife she could tell the bride I was sick and no one's going to question that these days, but she's livid. So, am I the arsehole, or am I falling victim to a belief system that simply views football as a stupid game and nothing more? Like I said, this game is literally once in a lifetime, something I'll tell my kids about. Edit, I'm not going to the game, I'm watching on TV. And for those suggesting I tape it, I could, but that's not practical in the social media age. Also, I obviously care about my wife, just not the bride. And apologies for laughing in the middle there, it's just, the guy's attitude is just something else. I don't laugh at, the wife crying or anything like that, but the guy's attitude was amazing. And I know people are big into NFL and stuff. I'm big into football, kicking football, soccer, and I love watching it. Wolves all the way, guys. But if I was already, scheduled to go to a wedding with my partner and they wanted me there, blah, 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 then there's no way I would let that person down, regardless of how big the game is and stuff like that. And I think you're making an excuse saying it's not practical in the social media age. If you really, really want to, you can avoid seeing scores and stuff like that. I've done it many times. Turn your phone off. If anyone starts talking about, put your fingers in your ears. Simple as. Yes, you're going to be the arsehole to me, and to set up a replacement as well. I was like, what? Oh dear. Poe Adams says you're the arsehole. It doesn't matter how much you like this friend of your wife's or how well you know her. This is part of being married. You go to events because you're a good partner, not necessarily because you really want to go yourself. I'm a huge football fan too, and while this game is historical, it is still just a week 4 regular season game, not sure what that means. If you want to see it, then record it and watch it later. There's nothing about it that will be spoiled by not being able to watch it live. Accomplished Sugar 7 says you're the arsehole. Is Tom Brady going to give a shit about you missing the game? No, because he doesn't know who you are. You made a commitment to your wife and now you're upset that you jumped the gun and that the wedding happens to be on such a monumental day. Then quotes, I can't miss it. Then says you can miss the game. You simply don't want to because of your view of this friend and her wedding. Well, guess what? This isn't about the friend or her wedding. It's about your relationship with your wife. Also, it's pretty sly of you to get Tito excited for the wedding before discussing it with your wife. And quotes, I know I look like the arsehole here, but am I? And it says yes, you don't look like anything. You just are the arsehole here, and you appear to already see that. And I gotta say, I feel sorry for poor Tito as well. He's looking forward to a bit of a dance. But Punch Beer says you're the arsehole, dude, I like football too. Hell, lots of people do, but this whole situation has nothing to do with football or your wife's shitty friend. It's about your wife and your relationship with her. You made a commitment to spend time with your wife that day. What you do is completely irrelevant. Dude, you man the hell up and go to your wife's shitty friend's wedding and sit there with a huge shit-eating grin on your face looking like you're having the greatest time of your life. Not for you, or for football, or for your wife's shitty friend, but for your wife, because you love her and want her to be happy. Jacqueline says, unless you're playing in this football game, you're the arsehole. And one more from Pineapple Win who says individual comment to a group effort. That is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, a civilization work. Lombardi. I don't know if I pronounced that right either. You're the arsehole. You and your wife are a team. You pulled yourself off the field and put in a sub. The sub is good, but not the dream team. You'd leave her standing in the end zone alone, be on a team and record the game. Now, what do you guys make of the final story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and your thoughts on all of today's stories and verdicts if you choose to share them. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved with the channel, and don't forget about the drawing based art competition that we got, Halloween themed. Full rules are on our Discord, link is in the description. Come get involved. As I said, there's prizes to be won. I'm excited for it, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.